The active state injury gives us a clear understanding because a lot of people, when we talk about active state, they don't realize that active state upon someone who is born, of course, natural, innocent, and then the active state comes upon them and imposes something. This is basically an injury. It is feigning the truth of their God-given real name for the purposes of taking them down a deceptive path of error. That certainly is going to have ramifications for those that are in that legal bar association and societies. These are a den of vipers, as Jesus called them, and it just progressed its way from the Pharisees, the scribes at that time, into basically a mingling with the leaders of the different worlds that were surrounding them, from the Babylonians right to the Roman civil authority, and therefore they joined together and have mixed and perverted the law of God with the concept of what is legal debt, which is contrary to what Christ came for. So when we look up active state, we've read this before, but it's important to go over it. I'm reading out of the Dictionary of Canadian Law, 5th edition. It says, acts done or adopted by ruling powers of independent states. This is all talking in the legal sense. So remember, these are legal governments, legal authorities. It says, in their political and sovereign capacity, particularly an act injurious to the person or to the property of some person who is not at the time of that act a subject of Her Majesty, which act is done by any representative of Her Majesty's authority, civil or military, and is either previously sanctioned or subsequently ratified by Her Majesty. So it's clearly saying that someone has been damaged. So there is an injury that has happened there. Now, relief given would have to, at least at the best end, bring them back to the position they were, so they could not hold them onto a legal title in merger that would not have anything to do with them, and it would have to bring relief to that, so it would bring them back to the original state they were, which would have been unalienable and in truth. Therefore, the only thing that's really preventing remedy coming in relief is basically the actions of the deceived. One has to basically follow a direction of simplistic thought in order to receive remedy. Spiritually, we've been relieved of all legal indebtedness and debt, and any concept of debt. There is none there. It doesn't exist in reality. But in the world of legal, it seems to keep imposing itself upon those by its surrounding environment, that it tries to squeeze or place a no escape belief system on the one that has been damaged into this by the legal state. So the legal state is responsible, and therefore not only having to bring relief, would have to take on the burden of the very thing that they caused, because they're the ones that basically said, these are the descendants. These legal bar associations are really nothing more than a symbolic descendants of the Pharisees, who basically, along with the people at the time who executed Christ as innocent, though placed him as if he was a sinner, they basically stated that the blood would be on them and their children. So they placed the burden upon themselves, accepted that, and therefore still bear this burden, and because they deny the remedy of Jesus Christ. So they deny that there is actual cancellation of the debt. So they would be the ones that would have to basically carry that debt, because it comes back on them. Therefore, the rule is, he who commits the damage or the tort must bring remedy or relief. And if you don't come forward for relief, we're not. And again, remember what relief you're asking for. Equity, certainly has some rules, which is equity will not support a volunteer. Equity will not allow a statute, such as the Vital Statistics Act, which runs fiction of law, to be used as a cloak of fraud or a cover-up. So, but you're not going to get the money. If you think you're going to get some pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, you're sadly mistaken, because you'd be asking for the same fiction that you want to be relieved from, and that would not make any sense spiritually. So being relieved from the burden to operate it, yes. To being relieved from the burden of having to pay, that would definitely be part of the relief. and being brought back to a position that you're carrying your truthful name and not bearing the burden of speaking a lie or shirting such a lie or title. So there's things we have to look at what would happen because you were always in the unalienable position, but you were brought into the deceptive illusion that Satan did in the Garden of Eden to the first man and woman, and God automatically brought relief and said that the seed of the woman, which would be leading to Jesus Christ, would actually crush the serpent in the head. So this is literally killing the overhead because they've placed this burden of legal title over your head, but in reality it does not exist. So we hope this video has helped you on this subject matter, and we will see you in the next video.